What's up, friends? Welcome back to Planet and Purpose. Zoe Hopper here, and in today's video, just going to be talking a little bit about watering techniques for your plants and if the type of water you use really matters. So this is a conversation that I've had with many plant lovers. Some feel really strongly about using distilled water only for their plants, while others are more open to using tap water. Some will say they'll leave it out for a period of time to go through a bit of purification, while others it's just straight out the tap right into the plant. I think it is a worthy conversation to have. So in this video, just going to run through some of the pros and cons that I think of each, and just some things for you to consider for taking care of your plants. All right, so why would the type of water that you use matter? I think plants, of course, they need water, but they also need the right type of water. There are minerals and chemicals and different pH levels in the water that comes out of our sink faucets, and that could impact your plant's growth, the leaf health, and even the root development. And that's just kind of a theory that I've been working with, just as I've had different types of plants and have kind of noticed that some might do better with regular tap water versus distilled water. And I'll be honest, I've really only ever used tap water to water my plants. I have kind of inadvertently filled up my watering can with water and let it sit for a period of time before watering my plants and things like that. So I do think it does matter. It's something that you should take into consideration, kind of depending on the type of plant that you have. All right, so first up, let's talk about tap water. So water straight out of the faucet that you might get. For me, it's just really convenient. It's easy to stick to the watering schedule, to fill up the watering can and get to water in the pots in that way. I think that using tap water, some of the cons could be, just like I said, the level of chemical and mineral that's in your tap water. Some plants are really finicky, like the calatheas and some plants like that, and they don't really love a lot of those minerals that come in regular tap water. So that's definitely something to consider. Over time, if you see like the edges of your leaves get crispy and things like that, that can be a sign that perhaps the water that you're using is too harsh for the plant that you have. All right, so next up we have what I'll call sitting water. Dechlorinated water, if you will. It's just tap water that you've kind of had in a jug or a container, and you leave it out for a period of time. The theory here is that the chlorine in the water will evaporate, and then it becomes a little bit better for some of your sensitive plants. So some of the pros to using sitting water, I think that it can make the water more gentle for those sensitive plants. It's also a cheap and easy way to go about watering your plants because you do have the water readily available for you. Some of the cons, I think it's difficult if you have many plants to have that much water kind of sitting. So even if you have a gallon of water or a container of water that's been sitting for some time and you have multiple house plants, then you won't be able to water them all on the same day. So you might have to get a more complex watering schedule together, right? So that you're using that sitting water more thoroughly. Distilled water. So distilled water is like a clean slate. It's been purified. It doesn't contain the chlorine and fluoride and the minerals that some of our tap water has. And so I think it's, considered to be the gold standard for many of our plants who might be a little more sensitive to the type of water that we use and things like that. So you might want to go to the distilled route and just know for certain that your plants are getting the purest form of water and things of that nature, right? But let's talk about some of the cons to using distilled water. Of course, it's going to be pricey, so you have to purchase your distilled water and have it readily available, and that might not be as pricey if you don't have many indoor house plants, but if you have many, like I do, then that could get kind of pricey. You definitely have to consider that for the monthly budget, adding those distilled water purchases. Another con is that distilled water doesn't have minerals at all, so your plants really rely entirely on fertilizer for the nutrients because they're not going to get it in some of the minerals that tap water has. So it may be a little less sustainable to go the distill route. But the ultimate question, I think, is, if you were to do an experiment, as I have here, with 3 fresh pothos trimmings, and I have 1 in regular tap water, 1 in sitting water, and 1 in distilled water, what kind of noticeable differences do I have for this plant in particular? But it's something that I could possibly replicate for some of my other plants, right? So just taking time to do these mini experiments, leading with purpose, seeing and understanding how my plants are responding to the different types of water. And then I can just be more informed and more educated about where to go from here in terms of watering them in the future. So don't stress too much. I think that most indoor houseplants will adapt to what you're giving them. But if you do notice any issues, experimenting with sitting water or experimenting with distilled water, if you've only been using tap, could make a big difference. So please drop a comment. Let me know what type of water you use for your plants, or any other insights or knowledge that you'd like to share. And let's compare. I'm going to come back in a few weeks and look at these different trimmings to see what kind of roots are growing and if there's any differences based on the type of water that I've used. Then we're going to get it in dirt, and I'm going to continue watering them with the different types to see if there's any noticeable differences. I think that'll be a pretty cool experiment. So stay tuned, subscribe, and be able to find that video in the very near future. If you found this video helpful, please drop a like, share it with a friend, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.